Hey everyone, it's Jamie. Welcome back. So today's video, I'm going to be doing a Halloween DIY, and I'm going to be using, all of my supplies are from the Dollar Tree with the exception of the hot glue and the paint. Now Dollar Tree does sell paint, but I picked mine up from Walmart because it's the Apple Barrel brand and it's only 50 cents. So it's a little bit cheaper than the Dollar Tree. But other than that, everything is from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to go ahead and start showing you guys the materials that I'll be using. So I'm going to be using one of the Floral Garden High Cloche domes, and this one is the size, the 5.7 by 3.6 inch. So this is the bigger one. Now they did sell the smaller ones, and this will probably work in the smaller one also, with the exception of the Tombstone that I'm going to be DIYing. But anyway, so you'll need at least one of the high cloche domes. I'm also going to be using one of these metal tags, and this was from the Dollar Tree, the Crafter Square. You get 3 in here. And this one I chose because to me it looks like a tombstone. It's kind of got the rounded top, so I'll be using one of those. I'm also going to be using 2 of the little the Jenga pieces that you can get from the Dollar Tree, the little tumbling tower game. I'm going to be using 2 of those little wooden blocks. I'm also going to be using 1 strand of the LED light set, and this one is the purple lights. You get 10 lights on here, so I'll be using 1 of those. I'm also going to be using some of this Spanish moss, and this did come from the Dollar Tree. It's the Crafter Square. I'm also going to be using 1 of these little skulls, and you get 8 in here, so I will be using 1 of those. Also, I'm going to be using couple of these little bones that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. So, and right there. And then I may use 1 of these little pumpkins. I'm not 100% sure yet if I'm going to be using one of these, but I may. So just keep watching. And then obviously you're going to need some hot glue. And I'm just going to be using my AdTech hot glue gun that I picked up from Walmart. And then I'm going to be using some of the Apple Barrel paint, and one is in the color black and the other one is in the color white. And so I'll be using a little bit of each of those. So, okay, that is everything, all the materials that I'm going to be using. I will be putting a materials list down in the description box, so make sure to refer there if you want to see all the materials that I'm using. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to be doing is painting these little wood, the tumbling tower game blocks. I'm just going to be painting them, and I'm just going to paint them black. So reach over here, my paint. So I'm just going to give these just 1 coat of paint because this probably won't be seen anyway. So I'll be giving both of these 1 coat of black paint. Okay, so now while my little blocks are drying, I'm going to go ahead and move over to the little metal tag. And I'm going to be painting this black also. And I may be giving it a little bit of, I don't know, extra texture to it. Using some white paint. And I don't know. We're just going to see how it goes, and I'll show you guys as soon as I am done with it. Once it's done drying, the paint's done drying on it, I will come back and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so now that my headstone is dry, I just wanted to show you guys kind of what it looks like. Now I did do a layer of black paint, and then while that black paint was still wet, I went over it with some white paint on a dry brush, and I just kind of stamped the white paint all over. and it kind of gave it this gray effect. And then I went ahead and painted on RIP. Now my handwriting is not very good, but if you had stencils, you could do that, or maybe if you have like a vinyl cutter, like a Cricut or a Silhouette, you could print out some lettering and put that on there. But I just went ahead and just freehanded it, and even though it doesn't look the greatest, I still like it. So I like how this turned out. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be gluing on these little wooden pieces here onto my tombstone. And I'm just going to be using hot glue to do that. So let me grab my hot glue gun and put it over here. And then, so essentially we're just going to glue these little wooden blocks on one side and then on the other side. So this kind of gives it a way to where it can stand up inside the cloche. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quick. So I'm just going to put some hot glue right down the center of this side here. I don't want to glue this to my board here, so I'm just going to kind of place that right there. Now I want it to sit flush on the inside of that cloche, so I don't want to bring it too far down. So there's that. And I did paint rip on the back side too, but I liked this side better, so I'll just leave it at that. This side probably won't be seen as much. So there's that one. And then I'll go ahead and do this other side here. Okay. So there is our tombstone, and you can set it up. See, it sets all by itself. So, okay, so next we're going to move on and decorate the inside of our cloche. So now we are going to start decorating the inside of the cloche. And all I'm going to do is take the top off here, and we're going to set that aside for now. And then I'm going to go ahead and start with my tombstone. And I'm just going to set my tombstone in here and try to figure out where I want it, because I want to be able to fit the dome over the base without it hitting the tombstone. So I'm going to just try and set the dome over it to make sure that it's not going to hit anything, and it doesn't look like it's going to. So right there is probably a good place for that. So all I'm going to do is put some hot glue on the bottom of my little wooden blocks here. And then I'm just going to place this on the cloche and try to get it, you know, as centered as I can. Doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to check and make sure this does fit over that also. And it does. Okay. So now that we've got this part done right here, I'm going to move on to a little bit of this Spanish moss. And I chose this because it looks, I don't know, to me it looks more creepy. So I'm going to use a little bit of this. So I'm just going to pull some of this out of here. And then to cover up the hole that's right here, I'm just going to be hot gluing some of this Spanish moss on here. So go ahead and just put a little bit of hot glue across the top here. And then stick my Spanish moss on there. And don't worry that it looks like this right now, because you can always go in with a pair of scissors and just trim that off. Okay, so I'm just going to trim off some of this moss here because it's kind of covering up. I kind of like having it hang down kind of creepily, so I think I'm probably just going to leave this that's hanging down on the side here. I think I'm just going to kind of leave that there because it does look creepy. So try and just tuck that in over there. All right. Okay, so now I'm just going to use one of these skulls out of here. Just grab one of those. So I'm going to be using one of those, and I'm going to see where I can put him. Now if I put him too far down here, then I don't think the Cloche dome is going to fit over him. Let's see. No, it'll kind of be in the way. So I'm going to try and glue him up a little closer to the base of the tombstone here. So I get my hot glue. I'm just going to put quite a bit of hot glue on his face here. And then I think I'm just going to add it kind of up close on the tombstone there. Okay, we got that. And then I think I'm going to try a couple, see if I can't get maybe one or two of these little bones in here. Now these may be too big. Let me see if I can find a small one, maybe something that's a little bit shorter. We'll try these two and see if those are going to work. Now I'm just going to, I'm probably going to have to maybe set these up, or maybe crisscross them a little bit and set them up. Because the key is to set the stuff inside the center of this cloche, but you want to be able to fit the dome over it without it hitting any of your decor that's inside there. So that can make it a little bit tricky. So I may not be able to use these bones. They may be too big for this. So let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and glue this one. Just put a little bit of glue right there. Let's see if I can get it to stay. It might cover up that P, but I think we all know what this is. And then let's see if I can get this one on there in a good way. I'm just going to put this one down here on the bottom. Okay, I think that's going to work. So now that I have my little bones glued in there, I'm going to try and see if I can fit these LED string lights in there. And so this is going to be probably trial and error, but let's see if I can get these in there. So it took a little bit of finessing to get the lights in there. And originally I was just going to leave the battery pack out, but when I tried to put the Cloche dome over it, it didn't want to, sit on there securely. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to be hot gluing the battery pack to the back of the tombstone instead. That way it's in there and it's not going anywhere, and I can get the top of the dome on there So anyway, that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm not going to hot glue it down just yet, but I will before everything's all said and done. So it did take a little bit of maneuvering trying to get my lights just where I wanted them. So now I think I'm going to move on, and I'm just going to start adding some of this reindeer moss or the Spanish moss. And I'm not going to put a whole lot in here because I don't want it to take away from my bones and skull and all that in there. But I am going to put a little bit, and I'm not going to be hot gluing this on. You can if you want to, but I'm just going to place mine in there without hot gluing them. So I'm just going to put the Spanish moss just around, just in random places, just wherever I feel like I want to put it. So I think I've gotten everything to where I want it. So now I'm going to try and put the dome on it. Hopefully this works. We may have to do a little bit of tucking. So to try and get everything in there that needs to be in there. That is going to work, guys. I think this turned out really nice. Okay, so something that I wanted to note is if you're going to be hot gluing the battery pack onto the Tombstone like I did, just make sure that before you hot glue it that you do have the right side facing out. This is where the screw is so that you can take the batteries out in case they die. So that you can replace the batteries. So just make sure you don't glue that to the Tombstone side, or else you'll have to, take it off before you can put batteries in it. So make sure that you do hot glue it to where the screw is facing out so that you can get to the batteries easily. So anyway, that is the end of this video, guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe because I would appreciate it so much. Leave me a comment down below because I like talking to you guys. I hope that you all are having a wonderful day. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!